Welcome to Better Returns, where you will learn how to escape the volatility of the stock market by passively investing in real estate like a pro. 90% of millionaires earned and maintain their wealth by investing in real estate. We will share real-life examples from savvy investors so you can do the same. As a kid, he had to feed the horses before school every day, so now he is not a morning person. Your host and my dad, Matt Hansen.
Well, I'd like to welcome to the show my good friend, Yuri Gomez. Yuri, welcome to the show.
Hello, Matt. How you doing?
Good, good. Well, I'm going to share a little bit about your background, and then we're going to get more deep into that. But you're a savvy real estate investor already. You invest in large and small multifamilies. I know you do a little Airbnb stuff. You're pretty well diversified in that. You're really passionate about helping others learn about investing in apartments specifically, and you do something really great. You put out a lot of educational content in Spanish when there's not a lot of people doing that, which I think is wonderful. You're giving exposure to a lot of people that haven't heard or seen about it through your content. So I think that's wonderful. We're going to chat a little bit about that. So let's go ahead and start with, how did you get involved in real estate? How did you discover real estate?
So I was working for a telecommunications company. I had a W-2 career job, very happy at it. And then I met a coworker that started doing real estate on the side. Fast forward, he created an empire worth millions of dollars in only a few years.
Wow.
And he was a close friend of mine. And I really got a first seat looking at all of his success, how good he was doing. I got to ask him a lot of questions. When he started investing, he was still working. He was my coworker. So I got a first seat looking into all his success. When I bought my first multifamily, he gave me a lot of coaching. He really mentored me and helped me, how to start, because I wouldn't have done a fourplex by myself without, any experience, knowledge. I had some guidance. I had this friend of mine that helped me every step of the way. Then we did a few more multifamily buildings, and then it would start, it was the time to scale. And then that's when I got introduced into the large multifamily.
Excellent, excellent. That's really good. In what markets do you primarily focus on?
I've invested in Texas and Florida for the most part. Most of the projects, deals that I'm invested in are in Florida.
Right. Because you're native to Florida, so that it's convenient for you to do that. But I love the fact that you're investing outside of your state. They say live where you want to live and invest where it makes sense. So that's what you do. But Florida is one of the top one or two markets from population growth and employment growth. So you're already there, and you get home court advantage on that one, Yuri, which is great.
Yes, and one of the benefits of large multifamily is that you can really invest anywhere. You have property managers that are handling the day-to-day. You're basically just auditing, inspecting that the business plan it's going up to plan. So you get to invest anywhere you want, and the criteria should be invest in a good market. That it has is adding population growth, employment growth, properties are going up. There's a lot of these, a lot of metrics that we use that make it really attractive to just choose a market because of the numbers. And it doesn't matter if it's a couple hours flight. It really does not matter. You have a property manager that's going to take on the day-to-day, and you just go whenever you need to go, really.
Yeah, that's the beauty of passively investing. You don't have to be the boots on the ground. And that's where we have, local people that know the market really well, and they kind of represent us. You're right, in that fashion. Let's talk a little bit about, again, I mentioned early in the intro, is that you're one of the few people, you're an influencer, I'll say, in the Spanish-speaking market in terms of educating people on, what, you can passively invest in real estate. And I know many of your investors are from South America, specifically Colombia. So tell us a little bit about how you're doing that and how you're spreading the word of, okay, don't rely on traditional stuff that may be more risky. This is actually one of the lower risk-adjusted investments you can do. So tell us a little bit about how you're doing that.
So when I started, I was targeting, an audience. Who's going to be my audience? And I realized that investing in large multifamily requires some education. You don't really have to be an expert, because you got guys like us that are going to do all the job, and you basically just passively invest and you just get a return and you just wait. But on my side, there's still some education that needs to. We need to explain different metrics that we use, what constitutes a good deal, what are the markets, what do we look for in different markets. So as I was going through that education, I got like a light bulb moment when I decided, why not teach this to Hispanics? I of course I started with Colombians, but I've also had investors from Guatemala. I have very good leads in Mexico. So I am basically talking to a Hispanic audience in general, teaching them how to invest in large multifamily in the United States, and they get a lot of benefits. Not only they get the returns from investing, in these larger deals, which have better returns than smaller deals, but also they get that currency growth. The dollar is always
Right.
appreciating in value. Just this year, the dollar has appreciated 20% against the Colombian peso. So that's another type of return that the investor is getting, because the dollar keeps appreciating. We are going into uncertain times, and during times of crisis, you're always going to look for a strong currency from a strong market, which is the US. So,
Right. And you've got that global picture. I like that you've got international clients, if you will. So what's different about somebody in another country? Because I know we have investors from Canada and some from Europe occasionally. Is there any specific challenges? How do they invest? Do they have to use an LLC? Can they use their name? Tell us a little bit more about that.
yeah. So speaking about the challenges, they're very similar. Outside the US, it's very similar. There are some specific laws that apply in different countries. As far as Colombia, it is recommended to do it through an entity. If you do have a social security in the US because you're a citizen of the US, but you live outside of the US, or you were a resident at some point and you still do taxes in the US,
Mhm.
then at that point you can invest as an individual. Most of my investors end up going the entity route. It is the easiest if you are a foreign that don't really do taxes in the US. You're going to start doing taxes because you now have investments in the US. So they start with an LLC, is one of the most typical ways of doing it. It is case by case scenario. So it doesn't mean that everyone has to do it through an LLC, but it is one of the most common vehicles to invest in the US. Then that way, through that LLC, they can do taxes in the US as a foreign.
So they create a U.S. limited liability corporation with an EIN number. So basically the LLC will have its own social security number. That's how they set that up.
That is correct. And then we
Okay.
have people here that we recommend, that we refer to, so that they can help them through the process, because there's also the language barrier. It's one of the big challenges that investors outside the US, especially in Latin America, have. A lot of them don't speak English, or maybe their English is very, it's minimal. So that's where I come to help. My referrals, I have accountants, lawyers, they're all Spanish speaking. They're usually based out of Florida. And what I do on my part is that through my social media platform, I do educational videos to show them, to just teach them all of the little details and things to know about investing in the US, all in Spanish. That way, because investing in the US can be scary for a lot of people. And,
Mhm.
the way to mitigate that fear is through education. So that's what I do. I educate them really well with all the videos that I post. I'm on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and just through my education in Spanish, show them what are all the things they need to know, so that instead of being fearful, they can get educated and be ready to make that first step and say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take action.
That's so powerful. You're doing such a great thing. So you've created a resource, or kind of like even like an ecosystem of, okay, if you're in South America and you want to invest here, I'll help you. I've got contacts that are tried and true, that, okay, you trust these people to set up your LLC correctly, accountants and all that. Because to somebody go out to, you live in Colombia and try to do that on your own would be so difficult. And you run the risk of, okay, you're dealing with somebody that doesn't really know what's going on, or there's a language barrier and all that. So that's wonderful. It's an additional service that you kind of provide is like, okay, it's just to help them, position their money in the US. That's wonderful. That's really good. Um, let's talk a little bit about the deals that you're doing. What do you think is a good investment right now with what's going on in the world? Like, where are you primarily focused on? What type of asset classes you like?
So, talking about the deals, one of the things that I like with my investors is to invest in deals that have pretty fair returns, just because of the
Mhm.
uncertainty in the markets right now. Um, Deals where we have what we buy, it's everything over 85% occupancy. Actually, I would even say most of the deals that we get involved are 90% occupancy. Having a high occupancy is going to help us in times of crisis. When
Mm.
we have times that are not as good as we've had for the last 10 years, unemployment starts going up. When unemployment goes up in the market where you have invested, then the occupancy is going to go down, right? So by buying properties that already have a high occupancy, that are already cash flowing from day one, you have that you have that mattress or gap
Right.
that can help you, even if occupancy goes down 10%. If your occupancy equilibrium is 65%, then you are still paying the debt, paying all the operating expenses, and generating some returns to your investors. So we do like 65 to 70% to be the occupancy equilibrium. What that means is basically, at what occupancy are you still able to pay the bills, so that you're not going to be in trouble. So we like
Right.
to have that gap or that mattress there to work with, and that way we know that our investment is conservative.
Excellent. That's good. That cushion. Because you're right. You start at 90, and if things go bad, even if you lose 10% of your occupancy, you're at 80. And we call the break-even point, like equilibrium point. The break-even point, like on most of the deals we do, you and I do similar deals, is that it's like 65 or 68%. So you can go all the way down to that before you have to worry about, okay, we're not cash flowing, or so that's really, that's like the golden nugget of the day, is like, make sure when you're passively investing in a deal, somebody shares that, you ask that question, well, what is your break-even point?
Yeah, and
How
another
far?
another thing
Yeah.
that we like to look at is, we invest in markets that have a high appreciation in rents.
Right.
Also, that it's creating a lot of jobs. So that's gonna, because high population growth, which is what brings rents up, could be temporary, but employment is not temporary. If you have a lot of companies that have tens of employees or hundreds of employees or thousands of employees that are moving into the market where you are investing, that's a trend that could last a decade. So you're going to have a lot of growth. So even in uncertain times, you will have some growth, and you're able to continue to raise rents and continue to fill your occupancy.
Excellent. Excellent. That's really some really good tips there for, particularly if you're a new passive investor. You need to look at all those details. What are the things that should a new investor look at when they're vetting the general partner, the person they're going to be investing in? What do you look for? And I know you're great at this, and that's why I'm asking. Like, how do you treat your investors? What are the standards they should be looking for when they're looking to passively invest with someone?
So one of the most important things, or the most important thing, whenever you are considering doing an investment with a general partner, it's to ask the right questions, and that applies for every business. Like I was talking about, you first get your education. That education is going to allow to take action and to have the knowledge to know which questions to ask. So you should ask the general partners, first of all, who are the general partners? How many deals have you done, as a group, and individually, the general partner you're investing with? Have they gone full cycle? Full cycle means, have they bought a property, operated it, and then sold it? So when you go through the full cycle, I don't think it's a deal breaker if some of the general partners have not gone full cycle, but it's important that some of the general partners have gone full cycle, so they have that experience that they bring to the group, that's going to help us in making the best decisions, at any point. Also, are you investing as a general partner? Are you investing in the deal? That's very important that that you as a general partner have some skin in the game. So as an investor, you want, again, not a deal breaker, but I think it would be nice if the general partner is investing in the deal, so that he or she has skin in the game. So they're heavily invested, and the you have aligned values,
Right.
the passive investor and the general partner, because you are both investors in the deal. So that's very important. So basically, ask the right questions. That's gonna lead you to understand or to have an idea if it is a good group you're investing in, or if you should just continue to look at other groups to invest.
And one of your key points there you said is that look at all the general partners, not just the one person. Who's backs up that person if that person steps away or something happens to them? So I love the fact, and that's where I got caught years ago in one of the investments I went into. I knew the one guy, I didn't know the other partners really well, and that one guy stepped away, and when the deal kind of went downhill a little bit. But because I didn't vet all the partners, know who the asset managers, know who's the other general partners that are going to run the show. So that's a really, really great tip, is to really make sure you look at the whole team and ask lots of questions. That's the whole point, is ask questions. And that's why you do such a great job of educating people up front. So when they do come time to invest, they know what to ask and they're more comfortable in their investment. Because that's the worst feeling, is that somebody invests and they feel like, oh, should I have done that? Should I have written that $100,000 check? Is this going to be safe? You're mitigating that by educating them, which is just wonderful, wonderful. Any missteps that any investments you've had that you've learned from, like my example there, anything that you've learned from that you think a listener should know? Okay, here's something you really should be looking out for that you've experienced.
So my career in large multifamily, I would say I've been doing this for about a year. So it is limited. I do get that I am taking on the momentum from my general partners. I mean, I'm part of such a great group. I am also a member of Family Syndication Group, which is amazing. And they give me everything that I need to learn, everything that I need to do. So I am being involved with them, and they allow me to not make mistakes. But one thing I have learned is diversification. Diversify in anything in the market you're investing in. For example, if you have 3 deals in the same city, I recommend then your next deal should probably be in a different city, probably in a different state from where you are investing in. I think that's very important. I've invested a lot of my deals this year. I have one in Texas as a limited partner, and 3, well, actually, and then 1 as a limited partner in Florida, and then 3 more as a general partner in Florida. So my next deal is probably going to be outside of Florida. I think that's one of the things that I have learned. And also, you also want to be part of in Think Multifamily, which is the owners or the founders of Family Syndication Group. Within our group, we have so many different operators that are always getting deals, in contract, that I as a general partner, that's bringing my investors to these deals, I have a lot of options, which is a good problem to have. So also diversifying operators, it is not a bad idea, no, because that's how you learn. Because I really like the operators I am involved with today, but the more operators that I get, the more people I do business with, the more I'm going to learn different perspectives in the business, and that's going to help me, continue to grow this career as a multifamily investor. So definitely diversification would be one of the things that I'm going to start doing. I wouldn't call it a mistake or pitfall, but it's definitely something that, as I have started this career, it's something that I see on the horizon that I need to, start doing.
I think that's a really good point. And in full disclosure, Yuri and I belong to the same group, the Think Multifamily group. Mark and Tamil Kinney, fabulous. And Mark's on one of my earlier episodes, check that out. Is that because we're in this group, we're all, I would say it's a pretty elite group. We're mostly all high net worth individuals that have got great experience. And we know these individuals for 3 or 4 years. The people like I invest in Texas and Tennessee and Florida with people that I know, like, and trust for years. And that's what's great about us being in part of that group is that these people are pre-vetted. We're all following standard work processes. We've got one of the best SEC attorneys, the insurance companies, the lending brokers, and we have access to markets all over the United States. I mean, our group is buying in Georgia, Arizona, Texas, Florida, Tennessee, the Carolinas. I think that's I think they even bought one in Michigan. So we do have that diversification that, okay, if you don't like Florida, well, I've got somebody that I know I can trust that's going to do a great job of managing your money in Arizona. And we do have friends in Arizona now in our group. So that's a really good point that I didn't think of that. Okay, in versus nothing against a one-trick pony, somebody that just focuses, all I do is San Antonio, Texas. That's great. And you should invest with that person. But you shouldn't have all your eggs in San Antonio. You should have them in other states. So I love that. That's a great, valuable tip, Yuri, that I didn't even really think about. The benefit of that group is that we have access to all different markets with experts in the market that we really know, like, and trust.
Yeah, one of the hardest things in this industry is to find the deal. And fortunately for us, there's always an operator that's going to put a deal under contract. So we partner with them. We look at the deal. We look at the underwriting that they used. We look at the numbers. And then, we already know them as far as their track record because we're part of the same group. So that's something that we've already did. We did that homework of knowing who to invest with. And after that, and looking at the numbers, then we make a decision. But there's always going to be deals within our group for us to choose. So that's one of the benefits. It's one of the things that I like about being part of this group. For me, when I joined, one of the things that was a decision maker in joining Family Syndication Group was the fact that it is a filter. I am new in large multifamily. I am going to conferences. I don't know if the person that I'm talking to at a conference is for real or if it's a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid. I don't know. So just being part of a group that has done deals collectively for years allows me to do my due diligence and find out, hey, have you worked with this guy? How was your experience? How is their communication? And allow me to find out more about everyone within the group because we all know each other. I still don't know everyone in the group, but I think I know a pretty good chunk of the group. So it is great because I can always ask around, and so I see it as a filter where I know that my investors' money is safe. I can sleep at night, and there's always some risk in every investment you make, but the fact that I know at least, there's not going to be fraud or things like that, that our investors are always thinking about, so who is Yuri getting involved with? So I like to share my criteria, everything that I did in order to get to the point where I am. That way they can feel comfortable. Yes, I think this is it's a good choice to invest with Yuri. And, that's part of my train of thought of being part of a larger group.
Right, exactly. And there's standards, and marketing to me will have high standards. And we say no to so many more deals than we say yes to because of our standards and our strict criteria that we're going to protect our investors are always number one. Our investors are always number one. So I love that about the group. Well, that's wonderful. Let's go ahead and move into to get people to know you a little bit better. We do have this little fun rapid fire 5 questions, Yuri. Pretty tough questions here. So are you prepared? Are you ready?
Okay, let's do this.
Okay. As a child, what was your nickname? Do you not have a nickname at all?
I don't know. I had so I have to say, I have to tell a story. So Yuri in Colombia, it's a name that it's used for females. So I guess I was called Yuri, but not in a good way. So I guess my nickname was actually my name. I hated my name when I was in elementary. And then I moved to the US. My middle name is Alex. So I started telling people my name is Alex. But then I realized that in the US, Yuri, it's a really cool name to have. So I went back to Yuri. So yeah, I guess my nickname was Yuri.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Right. I do like it's a very unique name. You're my only friend with Yuri, the name Yuri. So I love that. That's great. Okay. Number 2, are you a morning person or a night owl?
Definitely a morning person. So I know you very well, Matt, and I know you're a night owl,
Yes.
which I don't know how you do it. I do have little ones, so we put them to bed. We started the night routine at 6 p.m. So 6 to 8 p.m. is what my wife and I call the crazy hour. and after 8 p.m. They're asleep, and about an hour later I'm starting to get dizzy. So believe it or not, I go to bed very early. I wake up at about 6 in the morning,
Wow.
and then I start the routine. I make breakfast, get the kids ready. Then my wife and I, we give them food. We spend some time together. And then my day starts at about 8 in the morning. It's when I'm okay, I'm now focused on work.
Mhm.
But definitely morning person. Even on the weekends, if I wake up at 7 a.m., it's really late.
I envy you. I wish I could be more like you. Maybe someday.
I don't know if this is true, but I have heard that you wake up like at noon. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Is it
noon or
true?
one. Yeah. But I go to like
Wow.
last night, I went to bed at 5 in the morning. So I'm going to bed an hour before you get up because that's my
Yeah.
prime time, midnight to 5 is when I do most of
Yeah.
my work.
You
So
don't get people calling you, and so you're probably more efficient at that time too.
yeah,
So
there's no distractions. So that's great.
awesome.
Interesting. Okay. Number 3, what would be the first thing you did if you won the lottery? What's the first thing you do if you won the lottery?
So I don't consider myself a betting man, but if I were, and if I won the lottery, which I really don't buy the lottery, but if I did and I won it, so I would probably. So the first thing I would do, I would invest it all, just to make sure that I'm not diluting the capital.
Right.
You hear some crazy stories about everyone that won the lottery that immediately, after a couple of years, they lose it all. So I will first invest it. Even when I start thinking, what am I going to do with it? I'll first just invest it all. Safe stuff, bonds, ETFs, real estate. I'll diversify my money a lot. Probably 80% of it is going to go into real estate, just because I consider that to be the best
Right.
investment you can do. And then with the cash flow or revenue or returns that this money is generating me, that's when I will start planning. I'll open a nonprofit, help out, people in Colombia. My wife and I were always donating clothes. We take clothes from the US to Colombia as much as we can. My parents-in-law are always taking clothes. It's something I would always love to scale at some point. So definitely doing a nonprofit and giving back. And I will definitely continue with my, I've been documenting my life journey. So I think winning the lottery is a pretty cool story. So I will just continue documenting my on social media all of my life journey, what I would be doing with that money, those investments, starting my nonprofit at a bigger scale. And I will just probably continue educating people and just documenting my journey so everyone can see, everything that we're doing.
I love that. That's great. That's so well thought out. Um, number 4, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would that be?
The United States of America. I do not see myself in any other place. I love my country. I love Colombia. We always talk about maybe someday going back, but I don't know if I would. If once I'm there, I would really like it, because I really like the system here.
Right.
I just like everything, and I live in Florida, so I live in paradise. But I really like everything. I just like the way of living, the food you can find in the supermarket, the proximity of things to do around where I live, the fact that I have really no traffic. Traffic's really bad in Colombia, and so it is, and it is also very bad in every major city in the U.S. I don't live in a major city; I live in Sarasota. So there's a lot of things that I enjoy, and I really don't see myself. I see myself traveling a lot. Traveling to Europe. I could see myself moving to Europe for 1 month,
Right.
going to Colombia for 1 month, and just traveling the world. But as far as long-term living, I think I'm very happy where I am right now.
That's excellent. I'm happy for you. That's wonderful. And then the final question, what is one piece of advice that you give to new investors to help them get better returns? What's the one piece of advice, the golden nugget that everybody should know as a new investor?
Educate yourself, and I've already said it before. So I'm just gonna take it one step further. There's a lot of things you need to do. There's a lot of logistics with every decision, big decision that we need to make. So find out what are those most important next steps,
Hmm.
so you get to finalize that decision that you want to make. Like, oh, I'm going to buy a house, but I've never bought a house. This is so scary. What do I need to do?
Right.
Divide every most important next step into like small tasks, and just decide what those things are so that you're not scared about buying the house. One of the things is educating yourself, but another thing could just be sending an email to someone, asking questions to somebody that you know. So just start that process of doing those, defining what are those most important next steps, and start doing them, right away.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice, as usual from you. Well, this
Thank
is
you.
wonderful. Thanks so much for your time today. How can people, I know you're on all the social media platforms and everything will be in the show notes, but how is the best way for people to contact you, Yuri?
So I try to make it easy. So my name on the Zoom call, Yuri Alex Investor, is the same name across all of my platforms. So it's going to be on YouTube. Instagram is the main one where I have the most updated content. And then I also post in Facebook and TikTok. So you can find me, Yuri Alex Investor. You can also, call me. My number is 786-423-2399. My website, it's golandscapital.com. There you can find more information about the large multifamily projects that we do. Everything that I do that involves, bringing in investors.
Excellent. Thanks so much for being on the show and bringing all the value to our investors here. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Matt. Take care.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap. Thank you for listening to Better Returns, brought to you by Hanson Holdings. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star review because it helps others discover this valuable content. If you would like to earn truly hands-off passive income, go to hansonholdings.com, where we help you invest in large apartment complexes to grow your family's wealth. See you next week with another awesome episode. Have a great day.